Hey, legends. Today we are talking with Matt Gagnon, the founder of Atomic Mornings. Matt carved out a niche in the coaching space by helping busy executives own the first moments of their day. Matt is obsessed with high performance, and he is speaking this year at the gathering on the human performance track. You don't want to miss this episode, and you definitely don't want to miss him when he's in Banff in October. Let's get into it. This year's theme, winning the future together. How do we build a more optimistic vision for what the future looks like? How do we collaborate, connect with different folks that are of like mind to build something better than what we have right now? I think our industry generally, I would say, business and brand building in North America, it needs to rise to the moment, needs to rise to the occasion of what is truly possible now, rather than thinking about disruption and all these other sort of negative terms about what the future might look like. We are inviting a conversation that is optimistic, positive, expectant for a great future, but one that we are building and one that we are building together, basically. A big part of that is, how do you be a high performing individual? How do you perform your best as a leader, as a builder, as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as whatever your role is? How do you perform at your absolute best? And you're a guy who helps leaders find that level of performance in themselves. So maybe just talk to me a little bit about your practice, and then let's talk a little bit about the gathering and your experience there, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the whole concept behind it. Uh, for me, especially around optimism around the future, I have a belief in being a bulletproof optimist. It's just like whatever actions and emotions by others that are happening out there or external factors, I'm not going to let those things influence how I navigate through my day. And it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Like you wear a bulletproof vest, you get shot, that hurts. That's what I've heard. But it's still something where you keep getting back up and you keep your eye on what you're trying to manifest. And the best way to do that too is you have to protect yourself with your own self-care. Like you're not going to win the future if you're not taking care of yourself. It's not happening. You're not building anything that's sustainable. So I really took a big focus with my practice later on in it on routines and self-care, but also emotional awareness, which was the biggest key. The only way we can make something sustainable is understanding how you feel and understand what you stress about, why you stress about it, and what do we do to work through that. But it starts with taking care of your sleep, your nutrition, your fitness, your community, and your prayer, meditation, stillness time. You do
Yeah.
those 5 things that are controllable, you're going to create a great foundation and protection from the outside stresses of the world.
Yeah, it's funny how we can be influenced by things that have no immediate effect on us. Like you can wake up in the morning and scroll your social feed, whichever feed you subscribe to, see
Right.
some rotten news or some hot take from somebody that can set you off on a completely different tangent for your day. It never used to be like that, where you could be influenced by some random thought leader or influencer or whatever it is who's got
Mhm.
a opinion on. I just think it's crazy now how, like, we're exposed to things that if have a direct impact on our performance, that would otherwise, where the impact on our performance is only in our own mind. It's not actually expressed in a tangible way in our actual lives, in our actual business.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? This is something I'm
It
trying to
makes
find
sense, but
words for.
and the one thing that I'd say is the most poisonous and toxic thing though that I see every high performer I work with is comparison. They get
Right.
on social media and they compare themselves to others that they see, and they fail to understand like maybe they've got stuff going on behind the scenes they have no idea about. Anyone can be bright and shiny on social media, but comparison, as they say, is a thief of joy, and it creates so many limiting beliefs in some of these leaders that's what we need to extinguish and stop looking at that piece. It's okay to look up to other people and admire that, but comparison, it's going to kill you.
Yeah. So comparison is one. Just like bad routines is another. What are some of the other things that you see that get in the way of people's performance right now?
Yeah, it's the lack of self-care, uh, because the biggest thing is, like, your teams want the best of you, so does your family, not what's left of you.
Hmm.
And so often I'm seeing, myself in my past and other people I've worked with where teams are getting the leftovers.
Hmm.
That's it. I don't know how many times I hear leaders go, I'm going to get up early and get a head start on the day. I'm like, it never pays off. They just burn out earlier in the day. It's like such a lie. Also, I think as adults, we're programmed to say, when things slow down next week, and they never do. We just like saying that. But yeah, the routines, the self care. The other thing, too, is lack of community,
Hmm.
isolation. It's lonely at the top. Uh, you can surround yourself with people, but if you're not surrounding yourself with like minded people with that mindset, that's huge. And that's what the gathering is about, being around your people. Like, this is a group of people with very similar mindsets. They're different places of the journey. Some are just starting, some are in the middle, some are very established in their success in their world, but there's a similar mindset that brings that community together. And no person climbs a mountain alone. And isolation is the biggest killer
Hmm.
for all of it. And you just bury your head down, say, I've got to grind right now. I've got to do this. And all you are is surrounded by your team, and that's it. And that's fine. It's great to be connected with your coworkers and teams, but man, you have no one to open up to though. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's that reaction, like when you're faced with stress, and like executive stress tends to be associated with the never-ending list of things that need to get
Yeah.
done. Like it's there that it'll get busier or it'll be better next week. It lightens up next week. It is such a lie. It just never does. It's an unending list. That's the nature of it. And once you kind of come to terms with that, you're able to actually confront the stress of that list in, I'd say, a more positive way. But there is that like fork in the road when you're faced with that stress where you either say, I'm going to go heads down or I'm going to go heads up on it. Like heads down
Mhm.
being, I'm going to go uh, isolate myself, get up early, get an early start on the day, and try to solve these things on a solo mission. Versus heads up being like, how do I involve other people in this? How do I collaborate with it? How do I look at this issue or these challenges in a new and more expansive light? Does that kind of line up with what you see?
No, that's absolutely it. I mean, people talk to me because there's even stuff you don't always want to share with your spouse too. Like, it's just like I need another filter outside of that. And so people usually talk to me because they can be raw, unfiltered, not polished about what they say, and I'm not going to judge them, but I need them to hear that stuff out loud because the conversation in the head it's not going over well. And so that's a big thing. The other thing too is like when you get your head down, people stop delegating. They take everything on themselves. They set zero boundaries for themselves and they start eliminating the things that are energy giving. Whether it's workouts, whether it's time with family, maybe it's something simple as playing golf or, playing music. Those things counterintuitive. They seem like that's not what you should be doing. But if it gets put some fuel in the tank, you're going to be more effective at work. That's like going on a road trip and your gas is running out and you keep passing gas stations because you're saying, I don't have time to stop for gas. Well, you're going to burn out anyways. So you either take time for your self care or your body's going to do it for you. And then you're
Yeah.
totally incapacitated.
How like burnout was this like ambiguous uh uh concept, this sort of like that people complained about. Like I felt like weak people complained about burnout until I burnt out. Like it was one of those things where like I think that analogy is perfect. Like, oh, I don't have time to stop for gas is like on a road trip is like the perfect analogy. I just got to
Yeah.
keep going because it's like success is on the other side of some other mile marker that isn't this gas station that I'm passing right now. When I burnt out, I felt like um I didn't even really recognize that I had burnt out. I felt I it took me a while to realize that how ineffective my decisions were though. Like I would say that was the biggest thing. It was like productivity, you sacrifice productivity, you can try to like compensate for it by working longer hours, working harder, trying to find new hacks for efficiency. but like nothing can repair your decision making ability other than self care, I would say, like other than being in a healthy space, right?
Yeah, you're gonna kill yourself if you start giving up the sleep and the food. And there's the science behind it too. Like you're going to reduce hormone production if you're not sleeping. So chemically, your body's gonna fail, and you can't white knuckle through it. You know, if hormone levels start to decrease, uh, there's nothing you can do to overcome that. You're just gonna be susceptible to it, and that's where we do get that production and recharge is our sleep. It's the foundation of it. You give up your sleep, you're going to crumble. Like you will stop finding motivation to work out. You won't have motivation to do your work. You'll start feeling depressed. And you feel depressed when you stop feeling joy in the things that usually bring you joy. They're
Hmm.
no longer offering you anything.
Hmm.
I love music to death. That would be depression, would be like music no longer offers me anything. Time with your kids might not offer you any more joy. You're just
Hmm.
present. That's it. That's what depression can feel like.
Yeah, interesting. So you talk about these five things as like the foundation for h- health, which is the building block for high performance. What are the five things again, Matt?
Yeah, these supply lines that I integrate with, the atomic mornings is, your sleep, your nutrition, your fitness, your prayer, meditation, or stillness time, and then community,
Community.
the people you surround yourself with. These five things, which I learned when I burned out and I got incredibly sick. I learned that these are five things I have total control over. I cannot bitch about my health or anything else in my life if I'm failing to do any of those five things. Like if I'm not paying attention to those five things, I'm just looking for a magic pill, to fix it all. And so you have control over those things in a world where we have zero control over a lot of stuff. But those five things you can work on. If you have toxic people in your life, you need to do an inventory of that and start figuring out who needs to go, and then who are the people that you can trust and confide in. And yeah, you need to make time for all of those things at some capacity. So like that's one thing I try and teach people is I know it's counterintuitive in our society. Sacrifice your self-care, grind. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. Stick with it. And there's just this emotional connection though, this thing, this voice in our head that says that's what we have to do. And so when times get tough, I want people to understand this is why you stick to it. The biggest thing I heard was somebody said, yeah, man, I have like 8 hours of presentations to do. So I skip my morning walk. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, I had to be very blunt. I was like, you said your morning walks have been life changing. They're so energy giving for you. So you have a long day at work, and the first thing you give up is the life changing activity that takes you 30 minutes. But it was just that intuition. This is what you do. You give things up.
Mhm.
You know, you
Do,
don't give that up.
do
So,
you like do you recommend this sort of like just a balance between like pouring into yourself versus pouring out with like work? Like are you like do you conduct like an inventory in yourself every day about like what are the things that are putting energy or putting productivity or performance back into my being versus the things that
oh
are
yeah,
taking it out?
yeah. No, I mean that's also with community. Like I don't put
Mm.
people in my life that don't pour back into me.
Mm.
And as a leader in my past, I always just gave. I never let anyone pour into me. As a matter of fact, I'd surround myself sometimes with people that just took, and that's it. They were toxic. But I kept those people in my life. But yes, I take an inventory every day. And the same thing I talk to people about as soon as they wake up. I'm like, what are you aware of physically and emotionally?
Mhm.
Most people wake up at the last second. They never take an inventory of how they
Mm.
feel because
Mhm.
usually they don't want to. But if you don't know how you feel, everyone else will.
Mhm.
Everyone else around you is going to know exactly how you feel. And so I think that was the most powerful when I saw Ryan, Gill do the program. His team thanked me. Like, you're that morning guy. Thank you. Like Ryan would say it too. He'd just be like, yeah, I'm better with my team now. I'm emotionally more aware and I'm able to deal with that stuff before I get the day going.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful, man. So when you know what keeps you in bed, what keeps you under the blankets, and you're able to start working through that, and you're going to be a powerful person during the day. And again, the greatest gift you can give this world is to take care of yourself.
So what are some quest like hopefully everybody who listens to this podcast gives you a call, but I know many of them won't. So what are some like reset questions that we can ask ourselves to try to conquer that first 15 minutes of our day? Because I totally recognize that there are days where I wake up and I'm like, it might take me an hour, it might take me 2 hours to recognize like, oh, I got a chip on my shoulder today. Like I'm just
Mhm.
grumpy. I
Yeah.
don't know why yet. But if I am not even aware of the fact that I am grumpy, my day is a train wreck, not just for me, but for everybody that's around
Yeah.
me. So like how do you help bring this stuff to a conscious layer in our days? Like how do you coach people to help to like understand, actually bring some awareness to their emotional state?
Yeah. It is that question first. I mean, the most obvious one can be you might not know how you feel, but physically,
Hmm.
if you wake up and your body's hurting and you're just like carrying pain in your lower back or
Hmm.
whatever, there's usually some emotional stress behind that.
Hmm.
Unless you're doing strenuous workouts or whatever, like, yeah, there's a reason. Like, why is your neck hurt? Like,
Hmm.
why is your body so tense? And then you can ask yourself, man, what am I going through right now? It's the expectations of life and the world that sometimes weigh us down and it physically harms us too. So, taking just an inventory of like how your body feels is a big one. And then you can figure out, like, all right, what am I emotionally feeling right now? It's again creating time for that. Um, but if it takes you an hour to get moving for the day, hey, I still celebrate the fact that you got out of bed.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's the greatest victory you can have. It's okay to celebrate the little stuff on your worst days. If you got up and you got out of bed on a bad day, man, I'm proud of you. If you brushed your teeth today, great job. Like, it's okay to celebrate the little things when you're really struggling. So there is a point of having grace and fierce accountability. And that
Hmm.
grace is like, okay, I had a rough one today. I didn't hit all my goals. I'm human. It happened. I'm going through a lot. Fierce accountability now looks like, what can I do to not repeat it tomorrow?
Hmm.
And you have to have those to pair together. If you just have fierce accountability, you're just beating the crap out of yourself every day and it's not sustainable. If you have only grace, it just becomes this fluffy crutch. Oh, I give myself grace, like poor,
Hmm.
it's a tough time. Like, they have to pair together. And so, yeah, that self-awareness, with self-awareness, that education, that comes empowerment. You get empowerment without that. With that, that's when you get to say, okay, I know how I feel. Now I'm empowered to do something with it.
Hmm.
And that's huge. And the one thing I can encourage people to do is whatever you can do, just any ounce of strength you have, just step outside for a second.
Hmm.
I promise you, just take a step outside. You don't have to go for a walk. Just step outside, stretch your arms, breathe. Like, I've never seen anyone depressed, just stepping outside for a moment without focusing on anything, just breathing for a second. You won't regret it. No one regrets a sunrise.
Hmm.
No one ever wakes up, see a sunrise. Oh, that was stupid. Hate
Yeah,
that.
that's true. Yeah, like the eh, it's so easy to like roll out of bed, into the shower, make your coffee, get in your vehicle, get to your desk, sit down,
Yeah.
and like you're in front of your keyboard, you're in front of your monitor for the next 8 to 10 hours. And then like you literally can go a whole day and have not really moved. Like you've transported your body around to different places, but your muscles haven't activated, your heart hasn't activated, you haven't really used your lungs properly
Yeah.
yet. You get through, never mind one day, you get through a week, a month, a year and never do any and never like actually activate yourself. It seems like such a small thing because when we're young, it's so natural for us to be wanting to move around and like and not exercise, but like activate in some way, and then we get into this like adult mode of seeking performance and seeking success, and we can sacrifice all these basic things.
Dude, we're ridiculously creative people, naturally. Every single one of us. Just some of us have never held ourselves accountable to that. We just want to be rescued all the time or
Yeah.
told what to do. But like, we're creative. Like, look, I'm training for some stuff, like training for a bodybuilding competition a year from now, and I have to drink a gallon of water a day. I just need that anyways. It's good for me. So sometimes I just forget to do it, even with the damn jug in front of me. So I'll wear my water bladder backpack. It's got 3 liters of water in it. And I'm just drinking that thing while I'm walking and pacing around my place working. Like, cause I got a straw here and I'm fidgety anyway. So it works. It looks ridiculous. I don't care, but it works. It works for me. I'm getting it done. I walked 23 miles in one day the other day trying to get my steps and some fitness in, and I still did a 2 weeks worth of social media while I was doing my little journey. Like, there's creative ways to get stuff done, and nature is a massive fuel for me. I'm on
Mm,
top of the world, and my legs hurt like hell, but they hurt like hell because I'm fueling my body and getting stronger.
mm.
So I just don't see a point in celebrating the executive who is crushing it at work, like killing the numbers, but they're out of shape. Their family hates them. They're always bailing on every activity on the weekends with people like, oh no, I can't make it. I got this thing. They're canceling all these appointments for themselves. Like, there's nothing to celebrate there. Anyone can do one thing really well.
Yeah, one thing really well for a period of time until you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
You will burn out. I
Yeah.
promise.
Okay, so we talked diet, sleep, exercise. The other two were your spiritual prayer, meditation, sort of just like awareness, and then
Yeah.
community. Let's punch in on those because I think people get this. We've all heard we got to drink however many cups of water a day, or we got to
Yeah.
get our 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and there's no end of accounts on our socials that are telling us how we should be eating and shouldn't be eating this, we should
It's
be eating
obvious
this, or
stuff.
there's lots of stuff like there that those basic building blocks. But the other two are a little bit, um, I would say they're not unexpected, but they're not necessarily where our mind defaults to in
Yeah.
terms of what the next step is in our health.
Yeah. Stillness, that one, stillness, prayer, meditation, that group right there, that one makes people really uncomfortable. Uh, a lot of people don't like being still because they
Mhm.
might actually have to think about how they feel, or think about their problems or whatever shows up. People don't like that. Even the car ride, you mentioned like they have the commute to work. Most people put on a podcast, high performers. Well, let's put on a podcast. You're feeding yourself input all day. And most people listen to all these damn podcasts, but they don't actually implement any of the damn stuff they hear. They just keep listening to more podcasts, more podcasts. They don't do anything with it. Just constantly feeding themselves. Just turn the damn thing off. Like, just be with yourself. Enjoy your commute. Like, just be with it. Think about stuff. You go for your walk, don't listen to music. I
Mhm.
love music, but you know what? Turn it off and maybe listen to what's going on around you. Like birds or something, whatever you hear. Like, just be with it and stop feeding yourself nonstop input. Like, think. That one makes people uncomfortable. And if from a faith perspective, if that's what you have in your life, if there's something bigger than you that you believe in, embrace that. Take time. For myself, me taking time for that is starting the day. Like, I believe in God, so I do that by prayer. That means I'm putting the day in His strength and not my own. I
Mhm.
fail every time I try and white knuckle my way through the day, and that's me. So for myself, I'm not going to tell somebody else how to believe, but I know for me, I know that every time I try and drive the wheel on my own strength instead of like putting it out there for God or someone bigger than me, I'm going to fail. Like, I
Mhm.
might get through the day, but I'll be exhausted and stressed out of my mind. So I'm manifesting things through that stillness time. And some people enjoy meditation. Not everyone does. So I'm not going to tell you this is what you need to do. I like to customize it for people. Let's do the thing that really connects with you.
What are the key ingredients though? Silence, like it is a quiet contemplation. Like if it could be prayer, it could be meditation, it could be any number of these different sort of practices. But what is the core? What's the truth that you found at the center of it? Is it just quiet?
It's quiet enough for you to actually hear your honest thoughts.
Hmm.
That's what it finally is. You have a chance to be still, and stillness and motion too can be your walk, but you're not feeding yourself other input. But it's a chance to be still and quiet so you can actually hear your raw, honest thoughts, not somebody else's, not other people's expectations, just you. And that's where you get to be honest with yourself and confront things and maybe hear some of the lies you're telling yourself. And maybe start having some breakthroughs, some creativity. That stuff happens. All of these things we're afraid of, if we're still, that we might think about, aren't that scary once you get close to them. And that's what I help people do is approach their monsters. They get close to them and they're like, oh, well, you're not that scary after all.
Yeah, that thing I've been not worrying about because I'm too worried about it. Like the thing I've been avoiding with my mind,
Yeah.
or just not letting myself think about, not giving time to actually contemplate, actually isn't so big when you actually go confront it.
Stillness also gets confused with complacency.
Okay.
And a lot of high performers are terrified of complacency. If I sit still, if I maybe even acknowledge any of the victories I've just had, then I'll be complacent and I'll stop. I'm like, no, there's contentment too, to just take a moment
Hmm.
and admire the summit that you just climbed this mountain to, and also appreciate the journey you just had on the climb.
Are you saying
But so many high performers are terrified of that.
are you saying that it feels like a risk, like stillness and contemplation feels like a risk to performance for people in your observation?
Yeah. Yeah, it can be. That stillness can also be taking a time to celebrate a big victory,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of people that feel like that's not okay.
Hmm.
Like I climb this mountain, immediately I'm looking at that next one over there. I got to climb that one too. But holy cow, you're wasting all these beautiful lessons that you haven't taken time to acknowledge. And
Yeah.
also to be proud of yourself. Being proud of yourself is usually a conversation a lot of high performers are very uncomfortable doing. What are you most proud of today? They don't want to talk about that because, again, what if they get complacent? You're not
Hmm.
going to get complacent. You're a badass. There's no way in hell you're going to be complacent. You don't have to be afraid of that. But you should show some pride and acknowledge what you just accomplished. That's okay. And
Yeah.
these people have done it their whole lives. They did it with sports, maybe. You know, they have big wins. They just keep their head down, keep doing it. They never celebrate anything. It's okay.
Yeah. I think that there's something in celebrating that is actually, it's key to learning. Like you actually need that reward to resolve cognitive dissonance in your mind. And that's the thing that clicks where you're like, oh, I'm going to do that next time. I'm going to approach this that way next time. And so, if we're in this constant state of work, like we're gathering a lot of data and never actually data being experiences and like various inputs and outputs that we're finding success or failure with in the market, if we're not actually um, taking the time to evaluate that, like think it through, to actually observe the experience that we've had. Ryan always reminds me of this John Maxwell saying, experience isn't the best teacher. Examined experience is the best teacher. It is the a practice of evaluating the things that you've gone through that actually allows you to carve a different path and to articulate more, be more articulate in the path that you're carving into the future. So if you want to be a high
Yeah.
performer and you're not looking at the things that you've done, you're playing the lottery. You maybe you'll perform something, maybe something will happen, but
In the
you're not.
lottery, but you're also just repeating the same habits, same
Yeah,
climb.
same
You're
patterns,
going to
same
do it the
habits.
same way every time. So that's why I'm like, look, when you've reached the summit of the mountain you just climbed, in work or personally, whatever, it's great. Take a moment, admire the view, how
Hmm.
gorgeous it is where you're at, but also take a look at the climb you just did. That's where the real journey is. Take a look at the climb. What did you learn from it? What are the opportunities for the next mountain you're going after? So the climb is where all the beauty is, but so many people are terrified to just be still, that they might just sit there on that one mountain and they never go after the next one. The truth is, you're not where you are in life because you've been complacent. That fear is probably from someone else. Someone else modeled that for you. Someone else drilled it into your head. No one's born that way with that limiting belief. You inherited it from somebody. So that's what I try and teach people is like, let's take a moment. Let's actually just say, like, man, what are you proud of right now? Like, what did you learn from this? So, and look, I've experienced, doing this stuff too. Like, I was so pissed off one day because I was trying to do all this stuff, getting all these things going. And like every Wi-Fi opportunity I had kept failing, and I was going out of my mind. And I kept white knuckling and forcing my way through it. Finally, like I stepped outside for a second because I was out in the middle of nowhere on this adventure trying to do work, and I saw this mountain in front of me, and I literally was like, I grabbed my backpack and I climbed it. I'm like, I'm gonna get to the top of that. I don't know how, but like as I'm walking, like I started getting out of breath. I'm like, I can't think about my stress anymore. I can barely breathe. But like I'm
Yeah.
looking around me and there's like berries I can eat and stuff. I'm like, that's cool. And then I get to the top of that thing. I just sat down and looked at everything and I wrote 2 articles where I sat there. Just like everything came back to me. It reignited my creativity. I was just like, man, I feel alive, you know? And so it's sometimes taking those moments to do something, outside of your work instead of white knuckling. If it's not working, fill the tanks. I needed to fill the tanks with something. So I applied my love for nature and then that supply line around stillness and reflection. And man, I had sustainable fuel in me, not caffeine. That's not sustainable. I had sustainable, clean burning fuel by doing that. And I was on fire after that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so that's the stillness supply line. The last one is community. Let's talk about community. This
Most
one is
underrated
so
one.
interesting. We're so connected. We've never been more connected to one another. Like we're able to have conversations with people all around the world, on Zoom, on phone, with text. Like we're in touch all the time, but we are incredibly lonely. Like
Yes,
incredibly
that's
lonely.
it.
So lay it out for us. What do you see from the position of a performance coach?
Yeah, what I see is it's the quality of conversations that we're having. Yes, we're connected to people, but are we connected to people that we only talk about how's the weather going or how's
Hmm.
work? Are you constantly talking about work? Are you always around people where like even at dinners, even with your wife, it's just like, well, here's what's going on at work, here's what's
Hmm.
happening. Like you got to have more than that. Like the greatest gift I ever gave myself was finding a strong inner circle of men and being a part of that kind of group. And I found one and they wanted to talk about things that were vulnerable in life, real questions. How you really doing? You know, those are the conversations we need to have so we can get honest with ourselves and we can hear perspective and honesty from somebody else, not somebody who's trying to fix us, but somebody who's actually going to listen. As a performance coach, a morning coach, I'll tell you what, the greatest gift I can give another human being is to listen to them and not judge them. We don't have that a lot in life. Will somebody just listen to you? Dude, you could talk to a lamppost every night before you go home, and you'll probably feel better than you would not talking to it. Like, just to get that shit outside of your head
Yeah.
is massive. But we need to have people we hand choose that will pour into us when we need them versus take away. And that means talking to somebody who will listen and not just say, oh, I've been through that and here's my experience. Doesn't work. No, you need to be around like minded people and you got to handpick them. The gathering, that's where my chosen family is. I've handpicked those people. Like, I go to the gathering. As soon as I walk into that hotel, I'm greeted by 10 hugs, by people. I'm like, man, this is great. These are priceless relationships, and I value them to the core. But I remember one of my experiences at the gathering. I'm at a dinner and I'm talking to another Gill, talking to Rob Gill this time. Don't know him that well. He's one of that I don't know that well, but I was getting to know him and I sat at dinner and I sat down. He goes, hey, man, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. I'm good. He goes, how you really doing? I was like, shit. This guy sees my soul. That's what I do. You don't do that to me. I do that stuff, but he knew something was up. I was stressed about some stuff at home. And he just right there in front of everybody wanted to have like a more meaningful conversation. I was like, this is one of my people.
Hmm.
Immediately, I was like, this is one of my people right here. That's the kind of stuff we look for. Community is the most underrated supply line out there. And, one of the people I follow, he's a neurologist, psychiatrist, Dr. Amen, someone I've seen. He'll tell you like it's one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain is to surround yourself with positive, like-minded people. Not
Hmm.
an echo chamber. The
No.
people are just going to be yes people, but people who will ask you real questions, call you out, but also hold space to love on you. You know, those are the people we need in our lives. It's the greatest thing you can give yourself.
Yeah.
So, and how to protect yourself from the toxic people. Stop feeding them. I don't know how many times I hear people tell me, like, oh man, I got this one person in my life and they're constantly draining me and they do this, this, and this. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you keep going back to that? Like, and most people are just afraid of hurting someone's feelings or being alone.
Hmm.
They'd rather go back to what's familiar
Hmm.
than be alone. Truth is, once you get rid of someone toxic, You create a vacancy in your life for someone new.
Yeah. Yeah, that you do have a limited capacity for relationship. Like it isn't there are concentric rings of like depth of relationship that you can actually afford in your the space in your brain and the space in your life and that kind of thing. And so yeah, being intentional about who's in and who's not in is, I'd say, underrated discipline. I think the other thing you said there that really resonates with me is like getting around like-minded, similarly valued people, because I think if we're all trying to do different things, like my definition of good is different from your definition of good, or
Yes.
my definition of performance and success is going to be different from your definition of performance and success,
Mhm.
but they're going to be tied together by common values. It's this like idea of resilience, or it's a focus on success for something else, like for my family or for my my kids, whatever it might be. And I do think that that's the unique thing about the gathering, is that it is they're the people there are high performers. They are people who are shaping culture, shaping the way business is done, bringing incredible brands and businesses to life, on all different scales, massive global scales, but also highly impactful local scales. They're all people who are trying to do it in a different way. They're all generally people that are not trying to conform to the same patterns that the rest of the industry is displayed.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a new path to get there. And generally speaking, like the culture of it is, they're all people that are like, they are relational humans. Like there are people that are, well, they're people who value relationship enough to get on a plane, get in a car, drive in the middle of nowhere, get to the mountains, and spend 3 or 4 days with this community. So it is like those kinds of, that sort of like convalescence of values coming together, I think creates an incredibly interesting in giant intimate group of people.
Yeah.
Like it's a big group
This
to be
is what's
intimate with, but
powerful though about the gathering is that the speakers stick around. They don't
right.
just speak and jump on the plane. They
Hmm.
like being around their people too.
Yeah.
And so it's not just the attendees. And sometimes the attendees are former speakers. Like it's powerful. They stay too. They want to
Hmm.
be a part of this. And so I've gone before when I wasn't in the best place sometimes, but I needed to be around my people again. I needed that energy. I like being around people who've been labeled crazy at some point in time. Those are my people, because we think differently. I think one of the biggest takeaways I took from my first gathering was every person that stepped on that stage had ideas that was either going to get them fired or labeled as a great hero. Like it was one or the other. They're like, oh man, the person from Skittles, I remember that. Every idea she had was either fired or like, I'm going to make it. Jeff was the same way with Coke. Like his ideas, that he had, like that stuff was fascinating to me. But these were game changers. These were misfits, not meant to fit in a box. And they
Hmm.
weren't scared to rattle some cages. But even those individuals, people of that caliber, still carry these limiting beliefs in their head. And the most common one is, I hope no one finds out I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Gee, I hope people don't find that out about me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a
Yeah.
freaking clue the hell
Yeah.
I'm doing,
It's
you
interesting.
know,
Yeah.
but we do it.
Yeah. Nice, man. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to recharging with you, and with 1,500 of our closest friends at the gathering this year in Banff. It's always a pleasure to have you here. It's always great to get into a conversation with you. Maybe I'll give you the closing words here. Like, what's your encouragement to somebody maybe feeling a little bit tired, starting to get that edge of burnout, or just looking for that creative recharge? Like, what's your encouragement for them?
Ask for help.
Hmm.
It's okay to ask for help. I know, like, some people feel like they just can't, like it's a burden, to ask, but they're the same people who would be first one to help anybody else. And they admire other people that do it. Like, what makes you so special that you can't? So don't take it on your own. Ask for help. I'm not saying hire me. I think you should. But like, I think other people, like, you got to reach out to somebody. Please reach out to someone, start a conversation, and then take an inventory of how you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing I tried doing was creating like a survey that would be hard hitting, gut punching, like make an inventory of like, what are you not doing? When was the last time you did this? When was the last time you felt proud of yourself? Take an inventory of what's going on in your life. You'll have the answers right there. You might be scared of them, but it's not that scary once you start tackling it.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Listen, I appreciate you. Where can people find you? Where can people find more information on Atomic Mornings and the practice that you run?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's my number one place. Find me on LinkedIn. That's where I put all my content. That's where I hang out. I'm somebody who's built everything through LinkedIn and word of mouth. And so I only work with so many people. I love doing it, but you can contact me through there. Contact me through email. Probably supply that in this. Matt at Matt Gagnon Coaching. Just reach out. I'll start a conversation with you. I'll give you a link to get started on figuring things out where you're at in life, and we'll have a conversation, see if it's the right fit for you. But yeah, you can at least follow my content, and that hopefully will help you.
Awesome. Right on, brother. Well, we'll be seeing you in October.
Oh, yes.